What's up guys, I'm back. I got an update for the 6S rig that I built and posted a video about a little while ago. The weather has finally broke and it is no longer raining, the ground isn't covered in snow. It's really gray and cloudy and looks like everything's dead outside, but it's the least flyable. So I finally got out to fly the 6S setup and compare it to the 4S setup. I'm really excited to show you guys all the footage, so we're going to just hop right into the footage right now, and then I'll talk a little bit about my findings at the end. So, first test, full battery.
25.4 volts.
We're gonna run it to 600 milliamp hours and see how many minutes we get out of it. All right, looks like we got a minute and 40 seconds to 600. So yeah, a minute 40 seconds to 600 milliamp hours, but we are currently sitting at peak current of 106, and our minimum voltage was 18.86. We're currently sitting at 22.8. So I'm gonna fly this out a little bit more until I start getting low voltage, which is set at 3.2 cell. So when it starts screaming at me, I'll land. We're sitting at 18 volts. We've used 1150 milliamp hours according to KISS. Currently sitting at 20 volts right now. We have flown for 2 minutes and 54 seconds, and I've been flying pretty damn hard. So far I'm pretty impressed. All right, this is my 4S Alien. Just strapping the battery and stuff on, I can definitely tell it's lighter in my hand. It's got 5 by 4.3 props on it. So we're gonna go out and test this, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna record how many minutes it flies. So we're gonna fly till 800 milliamp hours. We're gonna see how many minutes, and I'm gonna fly the same style and see how the two compare. Alright, so I flew to 800, and it looks like I flew for 1 minute and 56 seconds to 800. I will tell you right now that this thing feels slow, and it has no bottom end, and it has no top end, and it's nowhere near as snappy or responsive. And that's my honest opinion on that so far. And just to let you know, I do have the new ESC firmware that just came out that supposedly unlocks the voltage cap, or I mean the amp cap a little bit. It's the one that allows them the 24s to talk. So supposedly they allow more punch. I don't know if that's true or not, but this thing feels like a dog compared to the 6S setup, and it looks like we're getting about the same. So I'm gonna looks like we're at 15.2 volts. So I'm gonna fly this out to like 900, and do the same test, see about how long I can fly my style, the same style here, because I'm flying pretty aggressive right now. I should be able to fly to about 900 before this pack is fully exhausted. So we'll see how many minutes I get total after that. Alright, this pack is just sagging out way too bad now. Alright, so this pack's sagging out really bad at this point, and I don't really feel comfortable flying it anymore. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds on this pack. Alright, so I've flown both quads now, and let's just simply run over some numbers. Before I even start with that, I would like to really say that, like, this wasn't about being super scientific. This was about how it actually flies, the way it's going to get flown. So, obviously, if you have a quad with a lot more power, you're going to fly it harder, because you can. It's got the power to do so. And if you have a quad that is just slow and, you know, like a 3S quad, for instance, you're still going to fly it as hard as you can, but flying it as hard as you can is not going to be nearly as hard as the more powerful quad. So the point to this test was, if I fly these as hard as I possibly can and really beat on them, not overly beat on them, but, you know, fly it hard in a real world scenario, how are they going to perform? How long are they going to fly for? How much voltage sag is going to take place? How damaging is it going to be to the batteries? Things like that. Alright, so I'm going to go over the numbers. I'll put them up over here so you guys can go along with me. So the 4S rig has a 19 watt-hour battery on it, and the 6S rig has a 23 watt-hour battery on it. The 4S is a 1300 milliamp hour Adrenalin 100C battery, and the 6S is a Pulse 75C 1050 milliamp hour 6S. I landed at 15 volts was what the resting voltage. So after landing and the cells settled, I had 15 volts in the 4S quad. And on the 6S quad, I had 20 volts after resting. In the video, I said 18. That was actually the minimum that the pack ever hit throughout flight. 20 volts was the resting voltage. I flew 1,061 milliamp hours out of the 4S total, and I flew 1,150 out of the 6S total. I got a total of 2 minutes and 30 seconds of flight time out of the 4S before it became uncomfortably saggy, and I got 2 minutes and 54 seconds out of the 6S rig, and I simply landed. It wasn't really sagging, honestly. I could not feel sag. I just knew that I was flying way longer than I should be. So conclusion with the numbers is, you're going to get more flight time out of a 6S rig. Not only are you going to get more flight time, it's going to have a shit ton more power. It's got more bottom end punch. It's got a faster delta time on the props. It's got more top speed. And the motors actually have more in them. There's points in my video and some other flights that I did where I just held throttle wide open, waiting for the RPM to start to drop from that voltage sag, and it just doesn't happen. So those motors have torque left in them to even go to a more aggressive prop. Now, going to a more aggressive prop may reduce flight times if you use it all the time. I'm going to try going to a less aggressive prop as well and see how that does. But from what I can see in real world scenarios is, obviously it has a lot more power, and if it has it, you'll probably use it. If you can train yourself to not use it, you're looking at 3, maybe 3.5 minutes of flight time on this setup if you're not doing wide open throttle punch outs all the time. A less aggressive prop, I'm gonna say probably gonna see 3-minute plus flight times. So in my testing, I wouldn't say I got longer flight times. In fact, I'd say they're very, very comparable, being that I did fly about 90 milliamp hours more on the 6S rig than I did on the 4S rig, which is weird because it's got like 250 milliamp hour less milliamp hours of battery. Like I said, I think the sag doesn't really bother the battery because there's not as much sag. So you're not really dropping those cells below 3 volts very often, if at all, during flight. So it allows you to push the battery longer. You can fly longer before heat starts to become an issue in the pack and damage your packs. So that's an advantage to 6S, and that's where some of the efficiency is coming from for the longer flight times. I will say that you can fly it a lot more aggressively, and if you're going to fly it more aggressively, then you're probably going to use more power most of the time. But if you were to fly similar to what the 4S rig is capable of, you're going to see a lot longer flight times. So I'm still up in the air about how I feel about the efficiency side of 6S, but as far as flight goes, personal preference on how it performed and how it flew, my personal opinion is I'll be flying 6S from here out. I think that a 1550 motor, 1550 kV, may be more suitable for a 5-inch freestyle rig. Nobody makes it that I know of in this size, and if I were to test something like that, I would want it to be the same exact make and model of motor to really make the test comparable. Simply just basing off of size and kV, it doesn't really equate as well. So if Xnova were to make a like 1500 kV 2207 Lightning motor, I would love to give that a try, because I think the kV may still be a little high for a 6S quad if you're comparing it to a 4S 2350 kV setup. So lowering the kV down even more is definitely going to make it more efficient. What I noticed about the 6S rig is the motors can stop on a dime with active braking, and they can speed up instantly. So when you make little adjustments, but quick little adjustments, they take place really quickly. The 6S rig felt way smoother all the time. Everywhere in the throttle curve, no matter what I did, it just simply felt smoother. It has a lot more momentum that carries, which is a lot of fun to play around with. All in all, I just had a lot of fun flying the 6S setup. And that's all I'll be flying from here out. So hopefully some of the data that you guys get from this video, some of the video that you've seen from the two rigs being compared, and a little bit of what I have to say, gives you guys some data to decide if you want to try 6S or if you don't. But I see it being pretty promising, and it's something I'm definitely going to be flying from here out. I would really like to do some testing with a racing setup running 6S and see how that feels. And I'm going to do some more testing with the with the 6S setup for freestyle as well. I may try, I'm definitely going to try like 4.3 props pitch, and I'm going to try the V1S 5.5s as well. So I'm sticking with the V1S prop, and I'm going to go down in pitch and up in pitch and see where that takes the efficiency, the flight time, the amount of power. Because as of right now, it's definitely got way more power than my 4S setup. And from what I can tell, I'm getting roughly the same flight times. When I actually go out and fly this in freestyle for fun, not just for testing, I'm probably going to fly a lot more tame, and I'll be really interested to see what the flight times are then. And when I do that, I'll definitely record, and I'll probably make another update video. So hopefully the data you guys got from this, the info you got from this, was useful in some way for you guys, and have fun flying.